Wilson Morales from Blacksman TV. We're talking to the one and only Sascha Penn. Last night episode, season finale, season 2 was a doozy. When you came up with the title of the episode, it should have been titled "Street Need Bodies." Because you got plenty of bodies on last night's episode. So talk to me through it. Like, how did that episode come to be where we were going to get a lot of deaths?
I think I feel like we've been building to that episode for 2 seasons. I think one of the things that we do hear from time to time is like, oh, the pace of the show is a little different than the other ones. And that's because, frankly, we've been building these characters in this world and getting people invested in both. And, I think we've been gradually sort of moving toward this type of episode. And I think, and this, Wilson, what you want out of a season finale is you want it to feel like it is, a fitting punctuation mark on the season, whether it's a period or an exclamation point. You want to feel like, okay, this is how the season should end. And I feel like in that way, the finale was very, very successful. Like, I feel like it is a worthy ending for the second season of Raising Kanan. And I think it also is a worthy prologue to season 3 of Raising Kanan, which we're shooting right now.
For every episode, it's hard. You can't hit a grand slam for every episode. It's like you want people to keep talking about the episodes, but it can't be like, oh, it was last night was better than this one and this one.
Nope.
But last night's episode, I'm looking at Twitter and they're like, yo, this is better than the original Power. This is better than that, which is great because it keeps the conversation going. But let's go through some of the characters you had, because with some characters, you kind of foresaw, what's going to happen. But then there are others like, okay, what was the notion of having LaToya Luckett there for just one season when you could have stretched out that character to see where it goes?
We could have. It's true. I think, again, like, all of this stuff makes sense for us. And by us, I mean the people who work on this series, within the context of the story we're telling, and so, and I think, and you're right. Like, listen, there's a bunch of characters. I mean, listen, we could have kept D-Wiz on this thing for six seasons, but he died in season 2, I think it all comes back to, we are telling the origin story of Kanan Stark, and we are exploring the people and forces that, quote unquote, raised him, that made him who he became in the original Power. And so, that's the story we're telling. And these are all pieces, these are all building blocks of that story. And it felt, the timing, look, if it feels early, then we probably did it right. The last thing you want is someone being like, oh man, and by the way, we hear this, you heard it with the original Power, you hear it on this one, people are always like, man, that we need to get rid of that character. It's like, it's always a balance, man. It's always a balance. And, you let the story take you where the story takes you. And that this is where it's taken us.
Yeah, because we still haven't seen the treacherous side of Kanan. We haven't seen the evolution of Jukebox, who she was as an adult, And so that's the good thing about it, that we know it's going to come. You just got to be patient for it.
Totally.
You've got Joey Badass, who became like an MVP this season, because you didn't, here's a guy that you could have cut out season 1, but he came back. Somehow he's got like 9 lives, and obviously it's not no spoiler now, but he came through in the end. How was working with that character?
I mean, look, I think Joey's talent speaks for itself, and I think it's been incredibly fun and exciting to sort of create this character and have Joey bring the character to life. I think there's always been a kinship between Unique and Rock in a way, right? Like, they understand each other in ways that the other characters don't, because they both sort of occupy a similar position. They're in the same business. They're both, for lack of a way of putting it, like the breadwinners for their people, right? And so it just always felt like there was this sort of connection between them that made sense, and that even when they were going toe to toe, there was this grudging respect that existed between the two of them. And again, like, I feel like where they end up at the end of the finale is where they were always headed. even from the beginning, from the first episode of the first season, when we see them linking up in that park and having that conversation, there's a chemistry between them. And I don't even mean a romantic chemistry. There is a professional sort of chemistry and dynamic between them that I think really earns what happens at the end of the finale.
Before I let you go, where are we going into season 3? Obviously, you got Tony Danza coming onto the show. Nice surprise to see him there. Obviously, and he's working these days because he's going to be on other shows as well. We still have to see, Rock. She's going to come back for vengeance. Because she lived. So what can we? Any glimpses into season 3?
I mean, what I would say is like, everything you think you know, you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that for you specifically, but I just think because I see everyone sort of prognosticating and making guesses, like, it's, and sometimes people are right. Most of the time people are wrong. But what I would say ultimately is like, these characters are human beings, right? And we want them to feel like human beings. We want them to feel familiar to you. We want them to make the types decisions that on a certain level make sense to you. They may not be the decisions you'd make, but at least within the context of the world that we've created and the dynamics that we have, that what they're doing makes a certain amount of sense. And so, you'll see what happens. I mean, I think what I would say is the relationship between Rock and Kanan is at its low ebb for sure. Like and the same thing with Rock and Lou. I mean, you saw how things ended between the two of them in the finale. So there's a lot of shit that needs to be worked out. That's all I can say.
Sascha, you've done a great job. Obviously,
Thanks,
you know
man.
the show very well. You know how to talk about these characters very well. I'm proud of you. Congratulations. Obviously, we'll talk again. Keep doing your thing. I'm always got you.
Hey, man, I'm proud of you. Wilson, love you, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
All right, man.